What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio, Fantastic Fest 2024. I am so happy to be sitting with the team behind Getaway. Congratulations. I have a very good feeling that the reaction in that theater was probably very big.
I mean, the great thing about comedy is that you hear a very honest reaction. So yeah, the audience was doing well.
It built nicely.
That's what I would expect with a movie
great.
like this.
Which is great, because you want people to leave here, not like, oh, well, that was kind of all right.
Your movie is designed to ensure that people leave up here. So yes. Job very well done. In that respect and many, many others, clearly I know what Getaway is, but because it's getting a festival debut, a lot of our audience will first learn about it here. So as the writer, Nick, I'll give you these duties. Would you mind giving a brief synopsis of Getaway?
Yeah, essentially it's a really lovely family of 4 British people who go on an island called Svälta, which is in Sweden, to see a kind of midsummer style pagan play. And we discover quite quickly that they're not welcome at all on the island. Let's have a look at a clip.
I wish we could do that, but then this video would get flagged and you wouldn't be able to watch it anymore.
I have said that in every interview I've done for 22 years, so I just wanted to get it out of the way.
Have you really?
Yeah. And sometimes they use it. And then they just put a clip there.
Okay. I will direct everyone to collider.com when a clip becomes available, and we will share it and promote it there. I want to go back to the writing process here, Nick. What was idea number 1, the thing that started it all? But then also, did you have a break story moment on this? Something you came up with along the way that made it feel whole to you?
Okay, so I've spent a lot of time on a really small island in Sweden. And let me just underscore what I'm going to say by saying I've always had a lovely time and everyone's always made me feel very welcome. But even after 20 years of going to this island, there is still very much an us and them mentality, which is fine. I think that's how communities of small people keep the outsiders at bay. And I think that's pretty fine. But I enjoyed the fact that I never kind of made it in, they never trusted me enough. And I thought that would be an interesting place for a family to go on holiday, too. But to be quite stubborn about it and not want to leave. And why can't we be here? That kind of vibe. And the other half of the story was my wife and I went to Greece on holiday and we had an Airbnb and it was owned by very old people. But they kept coming in, like we'd left one morning to go to the beach. We forgot something, so we came back 20 minutes later and we walked in and the old man just stood up like he'd been laying on the floor, which was really weird. And he couldn't speak English. We couldn't speak Greek, but they'd come in all the time. My wife was really pregnant. The woman would touch my wife's stomach and they'd talk to each other. And then she'd go off and bring like a pie and then they'd make us sit and eat the pie in front of them and they wouldn't have any. And so, I know it's a very obvious trope now, but it's like, you have no idea whose house you're in, so it was a kind of mixture of those two things. I
have so many questions about that particular experience, but I feel like we need a whole nother interview for that. Okay. My God. I want to go to your collaboration next, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you made this movie together and then made Krazy House, right?
Other way around.
It was the other way around. In that case, I'm going to reverse my question. What is something you saw in the other while making Krazy House that signaled to you, I must continue to work with this person, that paved the way to get away?
I mean, that's easy in a way. I mean, I was already a really big fan of Nick and his work, and he just, because Krazy House was the other film, and there was a script that I wrote together with Flip, and Flip and Nick just understood. And it's a pretty weird movie, and so there's lots of reasons why you shouldn't do or wouldn't do that movie. But I feel there's a sort of connection, comedy-wise, and that's just great. I mean, I don't have to say anything to this guy. It's just really great working together.
When you say there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't do a movie, that's like the best reason why you should do a movie.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I don't know. It didn't. When I read Krazy House, it didn't frighten me at all. And I just thought, yeah, fuck, I'm in. Why not? You know, as a comedy actor, you want to do funny things that stretch you potentially also as a person. So I was like, yeah, I'm in. I mean, I think the only thing I asked not to do was to push a statue of Christ into a man's anus. I mean, I'm all right with it. I just said kind of like, could we just do it beneath the frame? Is that all right? But I mean, I love the fact also that it wasn't just a yes in the room. Steffen and Flip had to go away and talk about it. And then I got an email like 3 days later to say, okay, we can just do it beneath the frame. And I was like to my wife, yes. But, you know, I think in hindsight, when you watch the film back, I should have complained about a lot more stuff. But, you know, as Steffen said, once we did Krazy House together, it's, even though we don't speak the same first language, and we like what we like, you know, and I know what he needs and wants, and it just worked like that. And so when we came to doing Getaway, we had a shorthand already, and it made it a lot easier, you know, I think, in terms of, okay, I got you, what do we need, where do you, you know, I like that in a relationship, making a film, you know, it's nice. It makes it easier.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you both obviously go into making this film knowing how talented the other is, but can you each tell me?
I didn't say that.
I feel like deep down you know that. What is an example of a time on the set of Getaway that you looked at the other and you went, I knew you were good, but I never realized you were capable of that?
I don't think that happened for me. I think Steffen's capable of anything.
I like that answer.
I watched all of his films in the build up to working together, and you just get a yes. People will say whatever about Ron and New Kids, but they're wonderfully directed films.
And I was just really blown.
You don't have to answer this.
I will. Okay, I can. No, it's just so great to work with an actor who wrote the script, and Nick just knows everything so well, of course, and especially in this movie. So yeah, I get all these little presents and surprises because things already worked in your head. So I mean, for me, this was just like it was just amazing sitting behind the monitor and we're like, oh wow, yeah, yes. So
I think there comes a time though as well when I'm 23 years in now to working in this job where you get to realize that you have to trust the director you're working with. You can't, you know, be constantly at the monitor saying, we should be here on this. It's like, well, then direct it yourself. You know, that doesn't make sense to me. I think I think that was the good thing about doing Krazy House first, is when it came to this, I was like, you know, it enables me to sit back and just be an actor or to produce bits and pieces. I don't have to worry about anything else. That's because, you know, you have to give that trust away.
Oh, absolutely.
Otherwise, what's the point of having someone like Steffen if you're going to constantly nitpick and undermine? It's just, that's fun for no one, you know.
Having trust in your collaborators on a film set winds up, bolstering everybody's work.
Always the case, you know, for real.
In this case, I'm glad you went that route because it pays off. This movie has an incredibly specific tone, and I know you two can nail that, but I am curious finding the right lead ensemble to cast around you. What is something you saw in all of them that signaled to you, you will get this style and tone and be able to execute it with us?
I think for the family, it is a sort of a tone in comedy. I mean, Aisling is super funny. So, I mean, that gave just this big trust, like, all right, if we're going to put them together, then that's going to work very nicely. I was blown away by the casting of Maisie, the daughter. She had this very interesting, it was a little bit dark and it was funny and she brought all these extra things to it, and Sebastian was someone that Nick already worked with and had a very good connection with, and that's just worked, and that was just great. So it was really really nice to have that family together, but it was a little bit scary in a way, because I mean, with a movie like this and with it's an indie, it's not the biggest budget, so you have the family all together the first time just a couple of days before shooting, and then for real. And of course there was a dinner. And of course we had some small rehearsals and stuff, but getting them all together the first day of shooting in one car on a very hot day in Finland was the best thing that could happen. It was just hard to.
A nice way to start, I think.
Yeah, it was hard to direct because I mean I had the headphones on and it was just one big comedy show. It was so fucking funny. It was just I need to put it, and I was like, all right, they are a family, so that went really well.
I think that's the thing. You have to believe that they're a family, and you have to believe that spiritually and emotionally they're all fairly weak. They're having troubles. We talk about in the film that Richard and Susan go to couples counselling. Me and the son obviously hate one another, and Maisie's just doesn't. They don't want to be there. That was the key, I think, to us, 4 of us in a car. It was like, if you can all remember what that remit is, then that makes it that bit easier, because everyone's watching these people feeling really kind of sorry for them, because it's, they've paid almost 1,500 euros to be there and they'd rather just be at home.
This is such an interesting movie to talk about, knowing the entire story.
Yes, yeah.
Job very well done in that respect. This is just coming to mind because I think you've brought up the monitor and just watching them play. Nick, does Steffen have a monitor dance? Like when you nail a scene, what does he do that signals to you he's loving it? I never seen you do a little monitor dance.
No, I'm just
You do a thing where you kind of skip up on the tops of your feet. Like you kind of do this. Which from one ADHD stroke autistic man to another, I guess, I'm guessing.
Thank you.
Because this movement is very ADHD.
But so it's true.
He kind of does that kind of thing. And just nuts and bolts, and this is going to sound really boring. On lowish budget independent films, you don't necessarily have the time to do a dance. It's like, we got it, let's go, let's shoot, let's do something.
All right. Well, here's a question I've been recycling since our first Fantastic Fest interview that kind of leans into, taking pride in your work and the fun you have doing it. I'll give a little background for why we're asking this. The first movie that came in was The Rule of Jenny Penn. It's the movie with John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush. Their director was highlighting how much joy these two acting legends have on set while they're working. Can you each name the moment on the set of Getaway that brought you the most joy as an artist?
Yeah, I got one moment. It's super small. Is it a spoiler? I have to say that there was like a situation with a prosthetic, like a body part, in combination with Nick, and it was just the visual of that just I couldn't do anything anymore. I just, every time I looked him in the eyes, I was just laughing and crying. It was just so funny. So I mean, that was a moment for me when I sort of almost like broke down in a good way.
Okay. I mean, look, day to day for me, it's I'm incredibly grateful to be working. I'm never happier than when I'm on a film set, much to my wife's chagrin. But in a different way. It's like, this is what keeps me sane and happy, and I know this, and I'm comfortable here. So there's that every day. So that's my baseline. But I'm also terrified every day in terms of fucking up, not doing it right, stepping on someone else's shit. So the other day on Friday, when we watched the film for the first time with an audience, that was the best bit, I think. When you know it's done, and you're here and you're doing press, so people believe in it. You're at a festival, so someone's liked it, and then you get to the screening and people laugh and go with what you intended them to enjoy, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a big thing. It doesn't happen that often. I'm always, even though I've said this 3 times that I'm been in the business a long time now, I'm never not grateful that you've come out and you give a shit and you've enjoyed it. You know, that's the best bit for me.
The fear you have on set too. I'm like a big believer that fear comes from caring. And when you stop caring, like, why are you here anymore kind of thing?
100%, yeah. But it's again, it's something my wife says, what are you doing? Why'd you do it to yourself? And the answer is, I don't know how to do anything else, you know.
Well, I mean, we kind of don't want you to do anything else. So my last two questions are for you, Nick, and they're about other projects that a lot of people are very, very excited about, myself included. The first one I wanted to ask about was the How to Train Your Dragon movie.
Yes.
And in particular, just because I'm a really big fan of Mason's, and obviously he's already proven himself in a movie like The Black Phone, but I just feel like there's no ceiling for him whatsoever.
Yeah.
Is there anything you saw him do on that set that like gave you the confidence, like this kid's a star and he's unstoppable?
Yeah, a lot. That's funny you should say that. Yes, he's even not when we're shooting, just watching how his body works is so weird and funny, and he has funny bones, and he's lovely. And I got to meet his family a lot, and they're all lovely, and you can see kind of why he's as grounded as he is when you see where he comes from, you know. In terms of scenes, we had a lot of scenes together, and there wasn't one thing that I did during a scene which was unscripted that ruffled him at all. Not one thing. He just loved it. He loved to improvise. We loved to improvise together. And I was like, hey, why don't we try this? And it'd be like, yeah, let's do it, you know.
I'll ask one more question about that one too, because you get Mason there as a number one on the call sheet, who's like an absolute rising force in this industry. And then of all people, it's Dean at the helm.
Yes.
And you obviously couldn't get a better director on a film like this. So what is something about working with him that made you think that even though we're changing the format of this story to live action, like this couldn't have been done without him?
Agree. Yeah, 100% agree. He's can I swear? Am I allowed to swear?
Go for it, yeah.
He's just fucking lovely. He's funny and he's clever and he's smart. And you're just like, okay, he's got it. Relax. Don't worry about it. You know, just learn your lines and have fun. And you know, it's so nice knowing that someone's just got you. And also he'd come along sometimes and he'd be like, you want a drink? You all right? Can we get naked? You know, he'd be like, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. You know, he worries and he cares about everyone.
It's an important quality to have in a leader on set.
Well, yeah, but it's not always the case.
Very much.
At all.
Yep.
So to have someone, I mean, this fucking guy, he didn't ask me once if I wanted, not once.
I wanted it for myself.
Yeah,
I
you
was
see?
also thirsty, so it's hard work.
He would throw a drink in the face of the old woman sometimes. He'd say, fuck off, fuck off.
She's great, by the way.
She's amazing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Annika.
That is...
Anita.
That is not an easy role to sell, and she does big time.
Well, I said it when we did the premiere the other day. We did a table read, and she was remote in like this cabin in northern Sweden, and I came off the table read, and there wasn't one single line that I'd written that she didn't hit. Like every single line, she just got it. You know. It was like, wow, that's amazing.
I would believe it. I promised you two questions, or two upcoming films, because you're working with so many of my favorite people. And the other one I'll add to that list is Corin Hardy.
Yes.
And I feel like I've been waiting a little too long for another feature film from Corin, but it's finally going to happen. So what can you tease about Whistle that might suggest to folks that it is going to be well worth the 6-year wait between The Nun and that?
Yeah, 100%. It's good. If you like horror and Corin, and then it's just... I felt like I was shooting like an 80s style horror. This kind of horror films that I used to love as a kid, and it's great. It's kind of fucked up and disgusting, but it's going to be great.
Those are all the right keywords.
100%, yeah.
I'm so looking forward to that. I'm also very much looking forward to everybody out there experiencing Getaway. And I will just say, I hope this conversation intrigued you, but I want to tease that this barely scratches the surface of what you're in for when you see this film. So huge congratulations. Not an easy concept to execute and land, and you guys did.
Thanks very much.
You can do it at the end. To everybody out there, thanks for watching this interview. Keep an eye out for the movie and also for so much more coming your way from Fantastic Fest 2024.